What's up, baby?
Turkey killing mofos. Hey, you a professional now.
You got her? Heck yeah, man. That's awesome, dude. Hell yeah.
Storytelling in regards to hunting and fishing has gone back hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
Literally on the rock walls of our nation.
Push it.
Yes, sir.
What you doing, Brandon?
Go. By the way, your nipples are already wet.
I just shot probably one of the most epic scenes, like, probably ever. These two monster bugs got after it, and it was so cool.
That's about like what you want it to look like. Cover it.
Oh, he's so handsome.
That's a big deer, Megs.
He's big. He's a big boy. That's talking whitetail.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Holy crap.
Look at those hooves.
Everybody wants to be a turkey hunter until it's time to do turkey hunting.
All right, guys, we're on another episode of the Tejas Hunt Club Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon McDowell, and today we are sitting down with a new guest to the podcast. Like I said, man, if you have cool stories, we're all about telling people stories and sharing in the success of other people's hunts. Hit us up on Instagram, just like Hunter Rainwater did. And he hit us up, said, hey, I got a pretty cool story. I went up to Kansas and killed a buck, and I'm from Texas. So we're definitely going to show some love on the podcast and on the page. So go check out the post we did with his deer video, and then also give him in the show notes. Of course, I'll put down his Instagram and everything so y'all can go follow him as well, because he looks like he enjoys hunting just about as much as we all do on the podcast here. So Hunter, nice to meet you, man. Glad to have you on the podcast. Thanks again for reaching out, and tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you get into hunting? All that good stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate y'all having me. Well, I'm from Midlothian, Texas, a little bit south of Dallas, DFW area. Man, I've been into hunting since I was probably 4 years old. I think is when I killed my first deer. Back when my dad used to have a place out in Cross Plains, we went out there, and
Yeah.
I mean, my first buck wasn't nothing much, but it was a little button buck. But I was about as stoked as shooting a 170-inch deer, I can tell you that. I was
For
pumped.
sure.
But I've grown up hunting my whole life, and that's something I always look forward to and like bringing other people into it. And it's like seeing everybody being able to harvest their first this, their first that, whatever it is. It doesn't matter whether it's a doe or 160-inch deer, it doesn't matter. The smile on people's faces when you see that's hard to beat.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's what we like to share. Like I said, the whole reason you're on the podcast today is just, sharing that success with hunting with other people. And sometimes I think that gets lost for a lot of people, especially when it comes down to, the competition. You all know that hunting's not the easiest thing in the world to do, and the odds can kind of be stacked against you. But at the end of the day, we're all on the same page, man. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you feeling that same way. And then, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you again?
I'm 22 now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
See, I'm 34, so I got a little bit on you, but it's cool to hear like younger guys and stuff that are having that kind of outlook on it at that age. I mean, I can tell you right now, at 22, I was like ready to just kill everything. It wasn't even like a thought in my mind, I just
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to go hunting. But like as you get older, it kind of changes. But it's pretty cool how like different experiences and stuff kind of tailor to how far along on that spectrum you are. Because I didn't get to shoot my first deer until I was about your age. So I mean, I'd hog hunted and shot raccoons and did a little varmint stuff and shot some birds, dove hunting, stuff like that. But as far as big game goes, I was a little bit older before I got to shoot my first deer.
Well, that's all right. I mean, not everybody gets to kill their first one or whatever early, but I was just blessed with the opportunity to do it, so I took it.
Heck yeah, man. There ain't
Yes,
nothing wrong
sir.
with that at all. There ain't nothing wrong with that at all. But so you said you and your dad started out hunting, right? And he had a place out in Cross Plains. Did it just start with whitetail? Did y'all hunt anything else?
Well, no, it was mainly just whitetail. There was a high fence place that bordered it, and so nothing really ever came over from the high fence, but it wasn't like we're growing big deer or anything like that. We just went out there. He'd take customers, family, friend, just go shoot whatever, just let people have a good time, this, that, and the other dove hunt. But other than that, I don't think I shot my first exotic or actually, I think like my 14th birthday, my dad got me a hunt to go shoot a black buck out there at the Greystone Ranch in Thurber, Texas. I'm
Yep,
sure some
yep.
people have heard of that. So I shot a black buck there when I was 14, and actually it was kind of a bad deal. I gut shot him because I was nervous, and they didn't find him till like 3 months later, and they found him dead in a pond. And so I ended up getting his horns back, and then I got a different cape put on him to mount him
Yeah.
up. But that's when I first killed my first exotic. But other than that, at the ranch you used to have, it was just white-tailed pigs and just like every old Texas lease, shooting whatever
Yeah,
moves, I guess.
exactly. No, that's cool. Like as a 14th birthday present. Of course, us living
It
in
was.
Texas,
I wasn't expecting it at all, and I was like, well, let's go do it.
yeah. So how did you remember how he like told you? Was that something that you had kind of asked for, or was it just like a
No,
complete
not
surprise?
really. He was just like one day he was like, all right, you ready? I was like, for what? He's like, this is your birthday present. We're going to go shoot a black buck. And I was like, okay, let's go. I was like, all righty, when are we leaving? And then so we
Yeah,
left, and then yeah, I got out there and I started shaking like a leaf, and I was like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna go, but and I've killed plenty of deer before then, but that one I was just pumped to shoot him and made a bad shot, but that's how hunting goes, I guess.
yeah, it happens, man. I mean, I kind of did the same thing on an Axis buck a couple years ago, and we didn't wind up finding him until a couple days later. But like you said, still got his horns and everything, and then still salvaged some of the meat, and then it happens. The more you hunt,
Hmm.
the more times you're going to be out there to mess up. I mean, these animals aren't a high fence, black buck, axis, exotics. It doesn't really matter. These animals are trying to stay alive. They're not just like out there, just like, hey, pick me. I want to go home to your freezer or go up
Hmm.
on your wall. Like they are actively trying to keep breathing and keep moving. So like I said, it's not an easy thing, and sometimes mistakes happen, and that's just the way it goes.
Yes, sir, it does, unfortunately, but that's why it's called hunting,
Yes,
not
sir.
killing, I
What
guess.
was your yeah, exactly. What was your like I know you said you hadn't really asked for that black buck, but like before that you kind of knew about exotics or was that like your kind of first experience with them?
Man, that was probably like my first experience with them because I've seen like hunting videos and stuff like that on TV, and I always thought they were cool and stuff, and I've always wanted to go to Africa. And I think me and Dad, we just started watching stuff like that, and then he was like, "Well, let's just go shoot one." And I was like, "All right,"
Yeah.
because on a high fence, I mean, I'm not saying they're the cheapest thing, but they're a lot cheaper than the big stuff is, and so. I mean,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
some scenarios, I'm not saying they're not cheap at all. I'm just saying they're like less pricey than the rest of like your elands and your sables and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
and he was like, "Well, let's go shoot one." And I was like, "Well, all right." And then that's when I got introduced to exotics, and I've killed
I got you.
another one after that, a couple axes, and then that's about it for exotic wise.
What's your favorite one?
My favorite one that I've killed, or my favorite
Or
like
the
exotic.
favorite one the exotic that favorite exotic you've killed that you've hunted that you enjoy hunting, and then your like bucket list favorite one.
So my bucket list is probably a kudu or sable
Yep.
for sure. Like I think that's a lot of people's bucket list. Those suckers are sweet. But my favorite one I killed a bull axis at my buddy's place. His uncle owns a ranch out in Junction, and we went out there, and he was like, "I'll just get after it." So we went and hunted him, and I killed a pretty decent bull axis out there. I don't remember exactly how big he was. He wasn't a giant by any means, but he was a good one for a first one.
Oh
And that
yeah.
was probably my favorite one. And then I also shot a black buck out there. But other than the first one, even though I didn't like kill him instantly, that was still a very memorable hunt that I'll never forget, even though I ended up getting him back. And but probably the bull axis out there in Junction was a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, that's good access country out there. We hunted a place just north of Del Rio off the Devil's River, had pretty good access out there, and then I've helped guide and film on some access hunts. They're probably my favorite to hunt, like
Hmm.
that I have, just because they get vocal and you can hear them and like all that kind of stuff. And then but like my exotic I really want to go chase right now is a nilgai down in
Oh,
South
okay.
Texas. Yeah,
Yes, I got
that's
one over here in the other living room. My dad actually shot it down there at the King Ranch,
heck yeah,
and
yeah, that's the
he
place
said
to
that
go.
was a heck of a hunt. He said that was probably one of his coolest ones
Yeah,
that
I've
he's
I
killed.
haven't heard it. I haven't heard from anybody that's been on a nilgai hunt that didn't enjoy it or want to go back, because they're
Yes,
just
sir.
cool animals and they're hard to hunt, and it gives you that
Hmm.
extra little challenge.
Yes, sir. I agree. I want to go down there with him one day, and I think we will soon. But he said that was probably one of his favorite hunts that he's been on. Is definitely that Nilgai hunt for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, just like you were talking about the black buck and the sable being pretty high in her list. It's my wife's. Funny enough, my wife's first like big game hunt she went on was for a black buck, so similar to you. And then her biggest animal was her sable that she had when she went to South Africa on a girls trip a few years ago, and I got to shoot a sable and a mountain reed buck. So that's pretty cool.
Well, that's pretty sweet. That's awesome.
Uh,
That's
oh
a
yeah,
heck of a
yeah.
girls' trip right there.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. And coming back with a sable when we had it in like our other apartment, people would come by, or like guys working and stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, dude, where'd you shoot that at?" And I'm like, "Sorry, guys, it's not mine. It's my wife's." And they're just like, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah, that one's hers."
That
But
one's
yeah,
hard to
that's
kick, I
pretty cool.
bet.
No, yeah, it is. But sable's pretty high on my list too. I want to go over to Africa and shoot one. I mean, Africa in general is pretty high. We've had a lot of people on that have been and enjoyed it. My buddy Jared and everybody loves Africa and wants to go back 100 times.
No, that's what I've heard. I've heard that's the same way.
Yeah. So as you got older, I know you played a little baseball and stuff like that. So how did that kind of work around your hunting as you got older? Because you said you're like 14, you went and shot that black buck, and then like did you hunt pretty steady through high school, or did kind of baseball kind of take over?
Man, early when I was a little bit younger, probably when I was like 14, I was still playing fall ball and stuff like that, thinking I wanted to go to college and play baseball and everything like that. So some of the falls I couldn't hunt as much, but I still tried to hunt a lot because we've had a lot of places that we've hunted over the years. A couple places in Jayton. There's a ranch called the Beggs Ranch. We used to hunt up on is just next to the 4.6s in the Pitchfork, kind of
Nice.
up there.
Yeah.
And then we had another place in Albany that we leased. So every opportunity that I got to go with my dad, I went. But then as I started getting older, I was like, man, screw fall ball. I want to hunt. I was like, I'm done with it. I want to hunt. He was like, if you play fall ball, I remember one year he told me that he's like, you if you play fall ball this year, you ain't gonna be able to hunt much. And I was like, I ain't playing. I was like, I'm out. I'm out. No, other than that, I hunt pretty hard. I've always hunted pretty hard, especially when I was turned 16, I was able to drive.
Oh
Nothing
yeah.
really kept me home. I'm always gone. Like I went up to Kansas a couple weeks ago when I killed that deer, and I was like, well, I guess I'm done going back for the year. And then I got word that there's some geese up there, so I'm headed up there Thursday. I'm like, all right, I'm going back. I ain't staying home.
Nice.
Nothing much keeps me
Yeah.
home now.
So
But every
yeah, I saw on
opportunity
your
I get.
page you do some waterfowl hunting too. When did you get into that? Like kind of the same time when you started driving and being able to take yourself places?
So I got into waterfowl hunting about the same age when I got into a little after I got into deer hunting. Like when I was 4, my dad took me waterfowl hunting, and he's never really been big into waterfowl hunting. He's more quail is what he always grew up hunting.
No, okay.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we had a lease down south of the house, and so I used to go there a lot when I was younger when he took me. But then as like when I got from like I don't know, about like 8 till like got to like 14 is when I started getting back into waterfowl hunting. And then when I was able to drive, I was like, yeah, I'm bird hunting. Like my goal ever since I started hunting up there in Kansas and able to drive, uh, I've been hunting up there for like 9 years now. But when I started driving when I was 16, we'd go up and I'd always try to shoot a deer before November. Whether it was a 3-year old, unfortunately, sometimes I was like, oh, here comes a good one. I should let him grow. But I was young. I shot him, this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh, I was just excited to bird hunt. Like,
Yeah.
and so we just kept going back and kept going back. And so once about then, I hit it pretty heavy. And ever since then, bird hunting. This year, it was kind of weird. The past 2 years, the bird hunting hasn't been as good as it's been in the past. But as of now, that I'm done deer hunting, even though it's later, and I got word that there's birds up there, I'm going back. I'm going back into it. So we're gonna
I
go
like
try
it.
and kill them.
I
But
like
I've
it, man.
bird
I
hunted
like it.
pretty hard. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's something I really did. We actually just came back from a quote unquote duck hunt. But I wanted duck hunt and wound up not having not having any birds pretty much where we were hunting at. So it was kind of, we were just hunting over some ponds in some area during in some crops and stuff, which I mean, the holes, like when we even got there that first morning, I'm like I said, I'm not a big duck hunter, but from all the videos I've seen, I was like, man, it looks like there should be some ducks just diving into this place. But they just weren't down. The weather wasn't good enough, like ready to
Hmm.
cooperate and all that. So I mean, we ended up killing some raccoons and shooting some doves. So we didn't come home empty-handed or anything.
Well, that's
But
good.
it was a good time. But yeah, man. I mean, waterfowl's not where we grew up. Nobody really hunted for waterfowl being that close to the coast. There was we heard about guys that did it, but it was never really good our way. We always heard like Columbus and of course closer to like Katy and that way there was more ducks and stuff around us. But I mean, of course, North Texas, it's always got some birds flying around. Like you said, it might not be as good the past couple years, but it's more than what we tend to see or what from my area where we grew up and everything. But yeah, I guess if I was in a better area, I'd be more into it because it is fun. Like I love shooting shotguns. I
Hmm.
shot sporting clays and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, duck hunting, I mean, where we're at's really not the best either. But when we're up there in Kansas, we're in central or southeast Kansas, and we're on like part of the Central Flyway. So
Yeah.
there's a pretty good amount of birds up there, and just bird hunting up there compared to down here is just not. It's really hard to beat up there, and so that's why I just put most of my time in up there. I got a couple places down here by the house, but it ain't nothing like going to shoot big
Like
geese
up
up
there.
there. No, it's not even close. Not at
Oh man, it
all.
looks so much fun in the videos.
Oh, it's awesome. It's hard to beat for sure. It is.
What's what's your favorite, what's your shotgun of choice?
Well, I've always been a Benelli guy, and a few years ago I decided to bite the bullet and I bought me an SB3 and I was like, let's do it. Like, I mean, I didn't probably need to spend that much money on a shotgun, but I did it anyways. So here we
Hey
are.
man, you
But
don't have to
I've
say
always shot a
anything to
Benelli.
me. I like brown. I like brown. I'm a Browning guy. I shot sporting clays over and
Hmm.
unders with Browning, but Benelli's like my second favorite. I don't like Berettas, even
I'm
though
not a
I
Beretta
know
fan either.
not a lot of people love them. They're great shotguns. I've just never jived with them that well,
Hmm.
but I do like my Brownings, and I'm probably gonna pick up a Benelli here pretty soon, just because I don't have a semi-auto, and I need a turkey gun, and I need a waterfowl gun, and I figured I'd just kind of put something together and build a combo.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The only Berettas, like, I'm not saying Berettas are bad guns, but I'm a Benelli fan, and my dad has a Beretta Silver Pigeon a 28 gauge that he
Mm-hmm.
takes dove hunting, and he loves it. And it's
Oh
a
yeah.
smooth shooting gun. It's a nice gun, and for dove hunting, you can't beat it. But
No.
in the waterfowl world, I mean, Benelli's hard to beat,
Yeah. I
especially
think
them
they're
Novas. We've used those as
yeah.
boat patrol a couple times, but
Yeah.
they don't die.
Yeah. Yeah, there. I think Benelli's definitely at the top of the game when it comes to waterfowl guns specifically, but shotguns in general. But yeah, man, I always like to ask people what kind of shotguns they like because that kind of tells you how people are.
Hmm.
And I like your answer.
Yes, sir.
So I know you said y'all started going up. Did y'all start going up to Kansas first for whitetail or just for or for waterfowl?
It was whitetail. I played baseball with a kid who I'm buddies with, and he's the one who got me into it up there, and they've been up there for a while. Uh, so he got me up there years back, and then ever since then, I got pretty hooked on it. And so that's how I got into that. And then after, when I realized that all the birds were up there, I was like, oh, I kind of like bird hunting more than I like deer hunting. Like a couple years, I just straight up bird hunted most of the time. I chased deer for a little bit early season when I didn't have nothing to chase really. I was like, screw it, let's go to the birds.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm definitely a opportunistic hunter. Like whatever's there, that's what we're gonna hunt, even though it might change a
Exactly.
little bit. It's been many a time that a deer hunt turns into a hog hunt real quick.
Yes, sir. That's the thing I miss about Texas though, because I don't have a Texas lease anymore. I've just mainly been up there for the past years, and there ain't no pigs up there, which is kind of boring, but at the same time, it's kind of nice.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes I like stick an old pig with a bow or something, or shooting him with a thermal, but up there you can't do it, and they got a bunch
yeah,
of like thermal regulations and this, that, and the other, and like
yeah,
coyote season and stuff like that. So you can't shoot them like you can down here. It's not like necessarily a varmint, and you got to pay to have a bobcat tag, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, well, that's part I miss about Texas, but I guess that's probably why they grow a lot bigger deer than we do in the most parts. Their crops
yeah,
ain't getting destroyed. They
yeah,
only got
yeah,
deer to eat it all, and they're just eating straight protein without anything bothering them, really.
yeah.
But
They have no less competition just between them, just the deer, not having hogs and everything else around too.
yes, sir. It
But
is
yeah,
nice though, so at some points.
yeah, you don't have to worry about your feeder or anything. Well, you can't have
Yeah.
feeders. Well, can
No,
you have
you can
feeders
have
in Kansas?
feeders.
Okay, I
Yes,
was gonna
sir.
say you can't have feeder. You don't have to worry about your feeder getting knocked over or anything else from some
Unless
big
you got a
boar.
bunch of cows.
Oh,
The
dude.
the cows is what gets you
Oh,
up there.
Be-
They're pigs or the cows are like pigs up there. Once you got a corn pile and you got cows, you're
oh,
out.
dude. I this year has been just. We have a lease down in between Del Rio and Brackettville, and there's cows on this place. And don't get me wrong, I love cows. I'm all about farming and ranching, but it just seems like they just this year they have just seeked out all my cameras, and they just first you get that first picture of them walking up to it, and you're just like, here we go. Then in the next series of pictures are them licking it, putting their nose on it, and then just seeming to be like, I'm just gonna turn it sideways and then I'm just gonna leave.
And then I'm just gonna
There's
break your
been
antenna off.
Yep, broken antennas. Luckily, they still work. They're still sending me pictures, but just like I have a camera right now that's crooked. But luckily, I mean, it's the last. We're in the South Zone, so I'm going
Mm-hmm.
down this weekend to go hunt, try to shoot one more deer before season's over. So I'll fix the cameras and stuff then. But it's just like you wait until I come home or like my in-laws or anybody's not down there, and then you want to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's how it
Ugh,
goes.
damn
Can't stand
cats.
them at sometimes.
Yeah.
Nope.
You
Yes.
can't do anything. We put fences up, everything, and they like you just get a first one picture of a cow just jumping the fence or like pushing it over, and then here come the rest of
Yep, that's how it goes.
them. So, how many with hunting up in Kansas, man, was when you first started? Was it like pretty intimidating, or like learning how the new rules, or did your buddy kind of just like walk you through the whole process?
Oh, well, they walked me through the most part of it, and so when we put in for an archery tag because rifle season there is 10 days, and so we start it's like September 12th is our opening day of bow season up there, and it ends like the 31st of December. So we have a pretty good stretch of it, and they taught me the ins and the outs about it, about the most part about everything and how deer are moving. Like their rut up there is a lot earlier than it is down here. You have like your first rut, then your second rut is normally like 28 days to 30 days right after the first rut up there is when your older does will come into heat. And so I started learning some stuff about that, and then I started getting more and more into like learning about everything about it up there. But
Yeah,
as I grew up hunting, or like grew up there, I should say, I started to learn a lot more about it on my own, and then started to learn different spots, different places. So I ended up getting uh, another lease attached from them, but I'm still with them, but I was just hunting another place and I learned a lot about deer hunting up there. And that's actually where I killed that deer I called Freak Show. And that was on the new lease I got up there. And it that it taught me a lot about hunting up there for sure. There's a lot of different things that go into hunting down here than it is up there for sure, especially how deer move up there. Like if you blink and for the majority of the time, you're you're toast, like you're busted. They're just a lot, it seems to me they're a lot more weary up there, at least from down here. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying Texas hunting's easy. I'm just saying up there to kill a big deer, a world-class deer is a lot harder, I think, up there than it is down here in an instance. But it's just the way they're moving up there, and they do have less pressure in some instance, in some places. Like you'll have landowners up there that will have a piece of like an 80-acre block, and it'll be straight timber, and all the deer will be bedding in there, and that landowner won't let anybody hunt there. Like for no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So that's their safe area. They know that.
Yeah.
But you could have the place next to it, and you see them coming in there like just at night. They know they're just going to feed in there, then they're going back, or however it is. There's a lot of different things that go into it up there. And I mean, I have learned a lot about it for sure, but it's
Yeah.
definitely a challenge for sure to shoot a big deer up there because you can see 130, 140-inch deer driving down the road, 160-inch deer driving down the road in the middle of the rut. Like you'll see a deer. For instance, we had a deer 2 years ago. What was it, 2 years ago? No, last year. We had a deer last year. We had a big eight on camera, and we were driving to our stand, and we're about a mile away, and we see him pinned up with a doe underneath a tree, a mile away during the rut. And I'm like, okay, or actually, my neighbor was hunting him, and he got in the stand, and he sent me a picture of that deer. I was like, oh, that's a good one. And then he texted me back. He said, "That's that big eight." And I started looking back at it. I was like, "Yeah, it is definitely that big eight." I said, "Where's he at?" He said, "A mile west." I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he was on camera like the night before, and he went in there to hunt him, but yet he's standing a mile away. It's
Yeah.
just crazy how, I mean, I know deer like in Texas move that way, but up there it's different. It's all like down here normally, and for the most part, when you have a deer lease, you're on one big section of
Yeah.
land or one, but up there we have the landowners like we'll have an 80 acre here, we'll have an 80 acre there, we'll have another 200 north of town, another 300 south of town or something like that. It's just all
Yeah.
spread apart. So
It's
your
all
neighbor,
broken
your
up.
fence line, exactly, your fence line is your neighbor. And so you're hunting, say you're trying to hunt a deer, but yet your neighbor has him on camera too. It's basically like it's I don't know. It's hard in an instance. Like if you want to, it's hard to let deer grow up there, but at the same time, there's not as much hunting pressure. And a lot of people who do hunt in Kansas, for the most part, they will let, if they're like a mature hunter, they will let a 3-year-old 160 walk for the most part. I'm not saying everybody does because
Yeah. Of
I,
course.
I made that I made that mistake when I was like 17 years old. I shot a 3-year-old 161 and I got beat up for it, but I mean, at the time, it was the biggest year of my life, and I was stoked.
Yeah.
But in the instance of like now, I look back at it, I passed 145-inch, 50-inch 3-year-old this year. I rattled him in. I actually drew back, and then I let down because I realized he was a little bit too young. I was just got stoked because I rattled him in. I was like, oh, he's a good deer,
Yeah.
and I let down. I just got worked up. But there's people like that that will, like your older gentleman, who will pass 150, 160-inch deer because they're hunting a 170 or 180.
Yeah.
And so
They
that
already got
instance,
the
your deer,
150 on the wall.
yeah, exactly. So there's no point for them to go down unless he's a 6, 7-year-old deer that's heavy horned, big bodied. I mean, there's no reason you pass that one. But a 4-year-old 160, 150. It doesn't take much for a deer to go 150 up there with all their mass. So that's
Oh
what I've
yeah.
learned a lot too. It's hard to judge a deer on the hoof going from down here to up there, because you'll judge a deer down here. He'll be, you'll think he's 130s. You'll go up there, you'll judge the same deer. You think he's 130s, but he's got 6-inch bases and almost 40 inches of mass. So he's probably low 50s. Like
Yeah.
I shot a 9 point. Actually, it's behind me over here. He's real narrow, and he's got 6.5-inch bases, 142-inch deer,
Holy cow.
which is just, he's got Coke cans for bases, but it's
Yeah.
crazy how the mass differences does up there than it does down here, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, and mass in their horns and mass in their body too. Because I mean,
Oh
when
yeah, that's another
I was
thing for
turkey
sure.
hunting, I was turkey hunting up in Nebraska, and we were seeing whitetail does and stuff, and it was springtime, so the bucks had to start growing. So it could have been bucks too, but just like they look like donkeys. Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just so huge. And
Mm-hmm.
like I could see how you would look at a deer down here and be like, okay, yeah, I can see how big he is because you can kind of compare it to his body. But like
Mm-hmm.
you will misjudge deer up there just coming from down here because they're just so much bigger. So you think they're smaller,
100%.
and then you walk up on them and you're like, holy shit, like this thing's freaking
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, 100%. That's another thing that does it is the body size. You'll have a buck up there that weighs 300 pounds, and you have a buck down here weighs 170, and you're like, yeah. And when you walk up to him, there ain't no ground shrinkage on a lot of those deer.
No,
It's
not at
not
all,
at
man.
all, not
Oh
at
man.
all.
So, getting into that, like, so let's hear the story about Freak Show because you told me you sent me the other buck that we originally were talking about, but then you were like, hey man, this other buck named Freak Show was pretty cool to hunt too. So, how did that go?
So Freak Show is right there behind me. He's that one right there. That's the 8 I killed this year. So when I got this new place, I was elk hunting in Montana, and my buddy, we had the logins, and he sent me a picture. He's like, dude, this is a giant. And I was looking at it, I was like, yeah, that's a giant. I was like, 100%, that's a 180-inch deer. Uh, so I hunted him all year. I went up there, I probably went up there to Kansas 10 times that first year to hunt him. And I was there from either 2 weeks at a time to 2 days. Like, if I could go Friday and hunt Saturday, Sunday, and drive home, I would. Like, I was chasing him hard. And I was like, all right, so I'm gonna kill this deer. So I got in there, I'd hunt him, and I thought I had him patterned, but the only time he switched to, that was in September is when he showed up. Then he switched to just dark, like midnight, coming in 10 o'clock, midnight, and he was coming in this little thicket. And I was like, man, I don't know what's up. I was like, maybe, and this is gonna go back to me learning a lot about hunting up there. So I hunted him that whole year, never saw him in person at all. Or actually, I take that back. I was driving to my stand because I had lost sight of this deer. It was during the rut. I had lost sight of this deer for 2 weeks. Driving to my stand actually to drop my buddy off to hunt it because I was like, look, there's another 10 in there. He's probably mid 40s, and then we had another 8 in there. We called Mr. Krabs, which he's a big deer, and he was probably 150-inch 8 point with 2 low crab claws. So I guess it made him a 10. But uh, I was like, yeah, just go in there. Uh, you can hunt it here, this, that, and the other. He's like, all right. So we're driving up, and I remind you, I left my bow in a stand 10 miles south on a different piece of property I was hunting. And we're driving, and I look to my right, and he's pinned up with a doe in the neighbor's field. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, that's Freak Show. I was like, never mind, you're not hunting here. I'm going to get my bow, and you're hunting somewhere else. And so he was like, all right. Or actually, we had 2 stands in there. So I said, you can move to the one to the west, and I'm gonna hunt this one. I was like, sorry, dude. Like, I hate to be this guy, but like everybody knew, like my buddies, it's just my buddies that hunt up there with me. So they knew that that was the deer that I was chasing.
Yeah,
That was like, we're not gonna sit here and claim deer or whatever, but I've went up there 10 times to hunt this deer, and they were perfectly okay with it. They were understandable. And I have another buddy who lives up there in Kansas, and he texted me after I get in the stand. He texted me, he said, hey, your deer's across the road from you. He's standing in the neighbor's bean field. As a crow flies, it's probably 150 yards. He's standing across the road from me, pinned up with a doe, while I'm sitting in the tree stand. And I was like, all right, sweet, it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna be game on. And never saw him. Nothing. Lost sight of him all year. I was like, geez, man, I hope he don't die. And that year he had five on his, what side was it? Yeah, five on his right, and he had eight on his left. And he had his G2 bent backwards, and he was bigger then, I think, than he is now. Now he's or when I killed him, he was 177 and 6/8. But I think he broke his left side off, and he had a dagger coming down. He has a dagger coming down right underneath his eye, and then one coming directly down. And so I think something messed up with him. I think he got hurt or something
Yeah.
to make him do that. And so following year comes last year. We put out cameras, this, that, and the other. Never saw him. I was starting to lose hope. Then I got a picture one day in October. I got a picture of him at night, and I just freaked out. Like, I called all my buddies. I was like, he's back, this, that, and the other. Or actually, let me rewind. So the stand I was hunting in the trees, I went up there and I was like, hey, I'm gonna move this stand. I'm gonna move it to the edge of the bean field right here. I was like, let's just see what happens. Moved it, set a camera up, and sure enough, he showed up there. I was hunting him, so I had him patterned to where I thought he was coming early season. He was coming into the trees to just eat, bed down, whatever, go to sleep, whatever. And he was showing up like 7 o'clock in September before the time change, so he was probably going to bed in there eventually. So I think what he was doing was he was coming in there from the neighbors, going to feed, and then bedding in the west side of the thicket. So like, all right. And so I got a picture of him and I was like, he's back. I was like, here he is. It's game time. And so I went up there last year. I think I went another 8 to 10 times before November 7th. Like I was those 2 weeks I was or that month or whatever it was, I was going like every other day. Like I'd come home when I had to, and I was home for 2 days, I'd go back. Just go back and forth, back and forth. And so here comes November 1st, November 2nd, somewhere around there. We go up there and I was like, dude, I'm staying for like 9 days. I'm staying here till, because your rut up there is roughly the 7th through the 12th is when like your best time to hunt up there is. And so I'm gonna get up there early. If he's here, he's not, whatever, I'm gonna hunt until the 12th. So however long that was. My days couldn't be mixed up. But anyway, so me and my buddy went up there and no pictures of him, nothing at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna hunt it anymore because I was hunting it day after day after day, and I was like, I'm getting gonna bust him out of here doing this. So I was like, I can't do this. So I went and hunted another stand, and I told my buddy, I was like, hey, if you want to go hunt that stand, you can, because like I said, there was a couple other decent deer in there. I was like, you can go hunt it if you want. He's like, you sure? I was like, yeah. And he's like, no, man, I'm not gonna do that. He's like, what if he walks in? Just joking. I was like, well, shoot him. He's like, you'd be mad at me. I was like, yeah, I'd be mad, but I'd be happy for you.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So he went and hunted another stand. And sure as shit, 6 o'clock that evening, he walked in.
God
And
dang.
if my buddy was in that stand, he would have shot him. And I was like, well, I'm glad you didn't go, but you're stupid for not listening to me. I said,
Yeah.
you could have killed a 170-inch deer. He's like, yeah, dude, but he's like, it's all right. He said, go in there tomorrow. I said, all right. So I don't know what was going through my mind when I did this, but so I went in there the next day and I had a 10 come in. He was heavy horn 10. He's probably a 150-inch deer, which I was getting impatient, like at all. The whole time I was just so impatient. And my dad that's the one thing they raised me up saying in baseball is like, be patient. Because in baseball, I'd always swing at the first pitch, no matter where it was. I was just
Yeah.
swinging. I was like, the first pitch is mine. I'm gonna swing. And they always taught me, be patient, be patient. And I was like, no. But so I had this 10 come in, and I've bow hunted for a while up there. And I do not miss at 20 yards. I'm not saying I'm the best shot in the world, but normally I do not miss at 20 yards. Had this 10 come in, and I was like, oh, really don't know what I was thinking. I was like, Freak Show showed up the day before. Here comes this big 10. I got all excited. I was still in. This is my learning point to where I was like, okay, after this happened is when I started growing. Like I've grew a lot in the past 2 years of hunting up there. And this is when it happened. I drew back on this deer at 20 yards and I shot straight over his back. And as soon as I pulled the trigger, I felt an instant sign of relief. And I was like, there's a reason that just happened. I was like, God's telling me to be patient right now.
Yes,
I
sir.
was like, and that was my first test. I was like, that is my first test. And I failed it.
Yep.
And I was like, why did I do that? And my Luminox is sitting right there at 20 yards from me. I shot clean over this deer's back. And he stood there and looked at me. And I didn't even try to reach for another arrow. I was like, what am I doing? And so it gets dark. And I look up and here comes Freak Show. And I was like, this is my second test. I was like, here it comes. And it's after, like, it's getting close to legal shooting light. It's like by the time he makes it to the corn or whatever, it's going to be right at dark. And so he's walking in, and I see him, and I grab my bow, and I draw back on him. He's at 40, and there's a tree limb in my way. I was like, this is my second test. And I let down on him, and I passed him that night at 40 yards. I was like, that's my second test. And so I got back to the cabin we staying at, and I called my dad, and I said, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm gonna kill that deer tomorrow. You watch. I knew I was gonna kill that deer. I said, my God was testing me to be patient, and that was my second test. My third test is tomorrow, and I will kill
Yep.
that deer. And so I'm sitting in the stand, and my buddy's up there, and he's killed some good deer, but he's never killed like a giant, an absolute giant. And he was up there with me, and he texted me. He said, I just shot one. I said, no, you didn't. He sent me a video of a deer laying in the middle of a field. I was like, I was pumped for him. And that night, the previous night, I saw 40 deer that night. And this night, I haven't seen a thing one, and it's 5:30, getting close to dark. And I was like, well, it must be nice to see what a or know what a deer see or looks like. He's like, just remember, be patient. And as soon as he said that, I saw two does, or a doe and a button buck, and walk across the road. And I see another buck come, or starting to come. And here comes this truck driving down the road, almost hits all of them. And they jump across the road, and the truck drives past or keeps going. And then they keep following out. And it was Freak Show was behind them all. And I was like, this is my test. Like, I will kill this deer. I know I'm going to kill this deer tonight. And he walked the same path, 40 yards, but I stopped him before the tree and I double lunged him right there. And then he ran to the other side of the bean field and died. I was like, if that ain't a story, I don't know what else is. I was like, there's a
Oh,
reason I
dude.
missed that deer the first
Yep.
day. I was like, you cannot make that up at all. But
No, I mean,
that was my story in Kansas when I learned to be patient.
oh, dude, that's hunting 101. I mean, if you're really
Yeah, it is for sure.
if you're really trying to chase big deer and do things, you have to stick to the plan. That's what I think.
Hmm.
That's what I kind of take away from, like, even the people I've had on the podcast, other podcasts that I've listened to, is if you go out there with a plan, with an idea of what you want to do, stick to that plan. Now,
Hmm.
I understand if you plan on shooting a 130 and a 180 walks out, well then,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah.
change plans. But if
Yeah.
you are actively trying to hunt a certain big deer, don't shy away from, don't be tempted by the one that just shows up. Like, stick to the plan.
Hmm. No, I agree 100%. That was my issue then. I was still in the same mindset of like, oh, here's a big deer, I'm gonna shoot him. But there's a reason I missed him, and I was like, that was God telling me to be patient, and if that wasn't, I don't know what is, but that was it right there. And
I
you couldn't
believe it
make that up
100%.
at all. And I
No,
was
sir.
I was pumped. That was
Dude,
me and my buddy both.
as you were telling that story, like, I was getting pumped, like, the whole time, and that's why I like doing this podcast. But yeah, man, I understand. It's something about big deer and being able to hunt them, and when you're
Oh, it is.
successful, it's even better.
Yep. And it ain't always about like killing the biggest deer because my buddy he killed a deer and it wasn't a 170, but it was still a good deer and he was just as excited as I was and I was just as happy for him as I was shooting my deer. Like that moment right there and he killed it in his grandpa's flannel who had passed away and gave him that flannel and he shot it and that was his first buck with a bow. Killed it with his grandpa's flannel. He was pumped. Like that was a day you couldn't make up right there. That was picture perfect if I say so myself.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
hell of a day right there.
I mean, I honestly, for me, I think it's the challenge of picking that one buck. Like, it really doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Like, the number, what he tapes out to is what it is. But when you look at a buck, especially when you're running cameras and stuff, and you look at a buck and your heart starts beating fast, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. And from that moment on, you don't know how big he is. You don't know what he tapes out, but he got you excited. And now the challenge is trying to kill that buck, regardless of
Exactly.
if he's a 168 or a 173 or a 154, it doesn't matter. It got you going,
Hmm.
it got you excited, and then that's the goal.
No, I agree 100%. That's a lot of things I've learned too, is it's not always about the score. Because like that eight I killed this year, I didn't have him anywhere close to what he scored. And I was just, my dream was to kill a big 8 point. And that's what he was. And he ended up going bigger than I thought he was. And I was pumped, but I didn't expect him to go what he went. And I was like, I don't really care, but I just know it's a big deer.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
and I hunted him. So here it is. But
Dude, I love it. I love it, man. So was you that buck that you killed this year, was it the first time you saw him? Was it this year, or did you kind of have like a little history with him?
so, he was on another place that we've hunted. We have another deer over there that we were hunting, and they're both really big deer. They're both in the 70s, and he was over there with him. But I've seen him on camera for 3 years, and we've first year he was like, "Yeah, that's a big eight, but we're gonna let him go, whatever." Last year, we were like, "All right, he's probably 5, so." Let's go ahead and if we see him, we're gonna kill him. But if we don't see him, it ain't no big deal. And so we're like, all right. So last year we had him on camera too. And my focus wasn't on those deer. Like my focus was just on freak show. Like that was the deer I wanted to kill. And so we let that deer go. And my neighbor actually was hunting another big 10 up there, another one of the big ones we have over there. And he was hunting him. And if he saw that eight, he probably would have shot him. But he was nobody was ever like hunting him. We knew he was big, but there was another one in there that was bigger. So we're like, all right, our focus is on this one. If this one happens to walk out, so be it. But till then, we had never seen this deer in daylight ever. It's been 2 years. Last year was 2 years. Never had a single daylight picture of him ever. It was just early season from September to middle of October, beginning of November. Right when the rut starts, he's gone. Always, every year. So we're like, all right, ain't no big deal. So this year I was actually hunting the other deer that's in there, and I saw him at 40, but I couldn't get a shot because of a tree limb again. And uh, he stood at 80 from me for 15 minutes, went and walked and rubbed on a telephone pole, made a rub on a telephone pole, and I'm just like sitting there, whatever. I got a video of him actually walking up the road, standing 20 yards from the Can-Am, looking at it and just walks into the woods. I could have shot him out of the buggy if I wanted to, but I'm sitting in my tree stand and they don't get that big for a reason. They know where you're at and what you're doing. And he walked
Yeah.
directly right up to it, rubbed on the telephone pole I was basically parked at, and then walked to the buggy, pissed on it, and walked in the woods. But I was like, gosh, man, I have that all on video too. I was like, you can't make this stuff up at all. I was like, whatever. And so, anyways, he gets away. And I still get a couple pictures of this eight on camera at night, but I'm like, that deer ain't gonna show up in the daylight. He is not in there in the daylight. He's going in there to bed, this, that, and the other. So I go up there. When was it? Uh, Probably late November. I went up there again, and I was hunting them. And so I've read a lot of stuff and watched a lot of videos about deer hunting and big bucks majority of the time in some instance after a big heavy rain they will come back and they'll check all their scrapes. And so I was like, all right, and I had this camera set up on a scrape, and unfortunately it was Monday morning. I had to leave, and here came a big rain, so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna leave early. The only picture I have of him is that day at 12:30 p.m. walking past in daylight. I'm like, are you serious? I was like, I'm in Oklahoma and I'm looking at my camera and I'm like, this dude's in there at 12:30. It's not like I would have probably been in there anyways, but
Yeah.
I'm like, really? And so he goes ghost mode again for another like week or two. And so the day before I go back up there, I get a picture of him. It's like 7:30. I'm like, okay, at night. And I was like, all right, he's close. He's close, whatever. And so I sent it to a couple of people, and some people are like, or this gentleman texted me, and he was like, so you think there's a chance? And when he said that, I was like, I think there is a chance. So I got in there, we got up there. This is like the complete opposite way, like how I've ever killed a deer, how the way this happened was just like you couldn't. I don't know how this happened. I really don't. I've seen this deer one time in daylight on camera. It's when it's pouring down rain. He's always been nocturnal. My buddy, the day before we left, he spilt motor oil on his boots and he was going up there to film for me. And he was actually the one who filmed the video of me shooting him. And so we get in this stand and it's windy all day. It's like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and the wind dies down at like 5 o'clock. So I was like, dude, I'm not going to sit in a tree stand when it's 30-mile-an-hour winds from 2:30 to dark. I was like,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm not. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, well, I'll go at 4. I was like, whatever. That deer ain't showing up anyways. So we get in there and we're walking in there and we bust up a group of bachelor bucks that are starting to bachelor back up. And we see another big 8 we've seen. And I was like, oh, well, there they go, whatever. So we get up in the stand. We walk to the stand at 4:02 is when the camera took a picture of us walking through. We get in the stand. He's behind me hanging up his saddle. He's looking at me. He's like raising his head, and I'm looking at him like, "What's up?" He's like, "Look behind you." And I look. Here comes a buck. It's like, "All right, whatever." Here comes another one. Here comes another one. Here comes another one. And we had 4 bucks at the corn pile while he was setting up his saddle. And I was like, whatever. And I look at him like, hey, right here, I saw a big body deer. It was either another 8 that was in there that I was going to shoot or this one. And because I thought this deer was gone. Like, I was like, that deer ain't showing up, whatever. And sure enough, he walks out. And this is at 4:22. He still has his backpack on, hasn't even put his platform up in his saddle. He's hanging on his climbing sticks, pulls out his phone. Deer walks 15 yards underneath us, downwind of us. But the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, so I guess at that point, in an instance, it's blowing hard, whatever. Some people say they ain't gonna smell you when it's blowing super hard, this, that, and the other, but I'm like, whatever. He did the complete thing a deer should not do. Walks downwind
Yeah.
of us. I shoot him at 20 yards. He runs 80 yards, falls over dead. I'm just like, how do you do that? We're in the stand for 22 minutes, our second day here, our second hunt, and he walks out. I've been hunting him since whatever, October, September. And I'm just like, of course, that's how that happens. I was
Man,
like, well,
honestly, I think
that's
it's
hunting.
a numbers game. Like deer, if you're hunting a deer hard, if you're hunting any animal hard, like it only takes that animal messing up one time for you to kill
Oh,
it.
I agree. Yep, I agree.
And
That's
I think
exactly what we said.
animals mess up all the time because they're animals, but you
Mm-hmm.
just have to be there when it happens. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
putting in the time, being in the stand, being in the blind, out there to see them and be there when they make the mistake, because it's going to happen. I mean,
No, I agree with you 100%.
but
There's a
that's
company,
kudos to you for doing it.
well, I appreciate it. So I got a lot of hate for shooting that deer, and just because some people were jealous, and there's a bow shop up here that I go to. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Alvarado Archery. They're pretty
Okay.
big, and they do really good work. Have you ever heard of them before or no?
Yeah, I've heard them before.
So that deer is entered in their big buck contest right now, and he's number one right now. And actually, freak show, he would have been the biggest one last year out of like the past 5 years, but last year was just a freak year. Like a 181 beat me, a 191. It's just like kudos to them. I was like,
Yeah.
those are some big deer. Like I'm not gonna be mad if I lose the contest. I'm just in a contest, pay 20 bucks or whatever you get into it, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to say you won it or whatever, but the owner, he was like, "Hey, you care if I post that video on Facebook?" I was like, "No, go ahead." I was like, go for it. I don't know if you saw the video on Facebook or whatever. It kind of went kind of crazy on there and got like 600,000 views, and everybody was in there was saying like bashing me like, oh, way to shoot a pin raised deer, this, that, and the other. Was that deer blind and deaf? I'm just like, well, if you had actually asked me the story, I happened to be at the right place at the right time. The deer's been there for 3 years, never seen him on daylight. But if you want to bash me for it, go ahead. Like, I'm sorry that, and half the people that are bashing me, I'm not blaming people or whatever for shooting small deer or whatever, but the people who are on there, if you go look at their profile picture, majority of those people are holding up a spike or a fork horn and they're sitting there bashing me because I shot a 170. Like, I'm
Hey,
sorry, dude. I don't get why you're so jealous. I was like, whatever. But then you have your older gentlemen who've killed big deer, just like good people in general. That's like, congratulations, hell of a
yeah.
deer, this, that, and the other. But it's just people like that. I'm just like, why do you got to say stuff like that? Like, really?
Be-
I don't get it.
because they're jealous,
Exactly.
and they
Hmm.
wish that they were in your shoes. You will never be talked down or bashed by anybody that's killing deer or doing anything as good or better than you. They're always going to tell
Exactly.
you good job. They're always going to congratulate you. I mean, it's sad to see, man. I like you said, the whole thing about, oh, well, shooting a pin raised deer. Like, half of those people that say that, if they had the opportunity to go shoot a pin raised deer, they wouldn't say no. They
Exactly.
they would
No,
not
I
turn
agree.
it down. And for the people
Exactly.
that do bash not necessarily pin raised deer or even high fence hunting, like, if you haven't done it, if you haven't been around it and you just heard some story, like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like,
Exactly.
of course you have those outfits that are those, they go buy
Hmm.
deer and they put them in a small pen and they let people come shoot them. Hey, it's not for me. I've said it many times on the podcast. That's not for me. But if you buy your hunting license, you're buying ammo, you're buying gear, that money's going back to conservation and going back to the parks and wildlife and in whatever state you're in and helping fund it, then I'm not going to bash you either, because your
Hmm.
dollar spends just like my dollar, just like the guy that goes extreme 15 miles in the back country on public land only. Like, the money that comes from each of us all spends the same. And
No,
if
I
it's
agree
going,
with you.
and if it's
I think there's a definite difference between shooting a quote unquote pen raised deer than shooting a high fence animal. Like, you
yeah,
have high fence ranches that are actually, it's a hunt to kill deer or animals in general. But yes, the pen raised scenario where people buy deer and put it in a 20-acre pasture and say, look, there's your deer. I'm not saying that's hunting, but I mean, it's close to shooting a fish at a barrel as it gets. But in those instances, I agree with you 100%. But I just don't agree. Like you said, it's just with people who are jealous about it. And then, like I said, if they had the opportunity, or like you said, if they had the opportunity to go do that, they would do that 100%. If they got an opportunity to shoot 130-inch deer, I mean, they would go shoot it. Like, it doesn't matter as long as you're happy. But yet, when you're
exactly.
bashing somebody for it, I don't understand it, but guess it's not people are, and I don't understand why I had to get, like you said, you shouldn't feel that way for shooting a big deer in an instance, and in some instance, that's the way I felt, and it was just like, whatever, it's just jealousy with a lot of people, and
Yeah,
I don't get it at all. Like you said, when you do something better than somebody else, they're gonna be jealous
yeah,
for sure.
and I mean, they're all welcome to get out there and try and find a lease in Kansas or Iowa or any other big deer state if they can't hunt around them. That's what a lot of people too. I heard on a podcast the other day, is like, people always complain about their situation when they're just as able to, like, go out west, go to a different
Hmm.
state. Like, you're not stuck to the area that you live in. You can go other places. Like, it's www. whatever state that you want to go to, find their regs from their parks and game and fish or whatever it is, look it up and apply. It's the information's right there at your fingertips. You get the same energy that you use to type out a messed up message is the same energy you could use to
Yep.
search to find you a tag.
Yep, I agree with you. I mean, it's not that hard. All you have to do is go knock on a door. What's the worst thing you say? No. Somebody tells you no. Oh
Yeah.
well, I do it every single day when I go up there bird hunting. Somebody tells me or I see birds on somebody's place, I go ask them, can I hunt it? This, that, and the other. No, you can't. Okay. Thanks for your time. Whatever.
Yep.
Move
Have a
on to
nice
the
day.
next one.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. I ain't gonna sit there and cuss them up and down for it and tell them how big of a POS they are because they didn't let me hunt. But
Might grumble something on the way back to the truck, but that's
yeah,
about it.
yeah, there's nothing they're gonna hear. But no, I agree with you.
Oh yeah, man. So I heard you mention earlier that you were up in Montana elk hunting. Like, are you out there trying to chase some other game and stuff like that too, other than just whitetails out west?
So my dad's buddy, he's got a pretty good place up there. It's a bunch of private land, and we got the opportunity. We drew 2 years ago, went up there elk hunting, and that was an experience that I'll never forget. And we've put in after that. We drew our first year. We got lucky, I think.
Yeah,
But after this, we haven't drawn since. But we're going to continue to draw. When I get the opportunity to go back, I'm going to go make it count. And we went up there and we only were able to stay for like 4 days because we had something come up down here. So we had to get back, which was unfortunate. But those 4 days that I hunted was crazy. I did shoot one, or I shot one because we went up there, we bow hunted. And I shot one at 87 yards with my bow, and I just buried it into his shoulder blade. He was more quartered
yeah,
away than I thought he was,
yeah,
and I only got like 8 inches of penetration, maybe, because I found my arrow, had blood on it, but it was only like that far in, and I thought he was. I actually shot and missed at 85. I shot over his back. I think it was just because of how nervous I was. And 80 yards is a poke with an elk, and I knew that I was like, I'm going home with something. Like,
yeah,
I'm up here for 4 days. I'm going home because after I figured out we had to go home, I was like, no, I'm killing something. Sorry. And so I took the shot and I shot him at 87. He was more quartered away than I thought he was and just buried it right into his shoulder blade. And I watched him walk 150 yards from me, just like nothing happened. And I was like, well, at least I know he ain't injured and gonna go die somewhere in the long run. I don't know. That's just how bow hunting goes. But I mean, he could have, but I really don't think that shot was enough to do anything to him at
yeah,
all. But because he
yeah,
walked past me at 150 yards in the trees, like he got shot with a BB gun.
yeah.
And I was
If
like,
you ever see two elk fight
whatever.
and then think like that, I mean, it's
Yeah, I think that
unfortunate.
hurt him.
Yeah, they have a thick ass
Exactly.
shoulder for a reason.
Uh-huh. No, it was pretty devastating because I was all wound up, and then I realized that I was like, well, there he is, and here's my arrow. So I don't think he's dead. So I
Yeah,
was like, all right, let's go. But no, he was perfectly fine. I think he ended up surviving, I imagine. But there is some big bulls up there, and that was a hunt that it was crazy. We saw multiple 350 pluses that we just couldn't get close enough to them because they had all the cows with them, and it only takes one of those cows, especially hunting with a bow, to bust you,
yep.
and then you're screwed.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but it's
My
fun though, for sure. I shot a mule deer up there years back. I had a mule deer tag and shot one of those up there. And but other than that, when I get the opportunity to go back, I'll be back
heck
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, my buddy Jared, we've had on the podcast too, and everything is. We went up to Idaho a couple of years ago, archery hunting for mule deer, and then I mean we saw a deer. If we would have had a rifle, we'd have had two pretty nice bucks, probably like 150, 160 bucks that we were brought back, but we just couldn't stalk in on them in the snow and everything. And I've told that story
Hmm.
on the podcast, but I bring that up again because you said that like we actually found out today that we drew a rifle tag for Idaho, so we'll be going back in October.
Oh,
That's pretty
awesome.
cool. Yeah, I was
Heck
pretty
yeah.
pumped today when I got that email. We couldn't
Yeah,
remember
that's
because
sweet.
we went home for Christmas and we were hanging out and stuff, and we went hunting. We were like, man, what day are we going to get here for the draw? And I was like, I can't remember. I know that we have to buy the tag by the 20th, so it's got to be coming up pretty soon. And then today I saw it come through, and then so drew that tag, and I texted him. I was like, hey, man, check your email. And we wound up drawing that tag, so we'll be headed back there. But dude, hunting out
Heck
west
yeah,
is,
yeah. I didn't realize it was that early. My uncle actually texted me the same thing, and he drew, and I was like, I didn't know it was this early. Like,
yeah, it was pretty
that's
quick. Like
awesome,
I
though.
was, I mean, I follow Go Hunt and I do all their stuff all my tags and
Mm-hmm.
stuff through them. And I remember them coming out and saying like the draw opened December 5th and then it closed December 15th. And then so their whole system is new this year for the non-residents. You didn't have to sit in a queue. You just kind of entered your stuff in and went about your business, and you'd have to just wait for a number to be called out. So it was pretty easy this year actually compared to the past when we tried to draw tags. But yeah, and it's right at the beginning of January, because they're gonna have another draw. Like, because if you don't buy the tag, those forfeited tags go back in, and there's gonna be another draw like the beginning of February, I think.
Oh, good deal. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, congrats. Hopefully y'all shoot one.
for sure.
Bring home
Now,
something.
yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun. I'm excited. Like I said, there's plenty of mule deer up there. Like, so we saw good ones last time, but now we get to take that
Mm-hmm.
old smoke pole, kind of reach out there.
Yep, might be a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but it might be a little
Yeah,
bit easier than
might be a
all
little bit
sticking a
easier.
string.
Yes, sir. And then
Yes, sir.
the time we're going is in October, so it won't be all snowy. Hopefully, we'll see what the weather does. It's still possible, but mostly it'll just be up in the mountains where the snow is. It won't be all down below like it was last time.
Well, good deal. That's awesome.
Heck yeah, man. Well,
Yeah.
what's up for the rest of the year? You planning anything other than just going back to Kansas and hunting up there this year?
Mm, Man, I'm probably gonna just go make one more trip this weekend. Hopefully get on some geese. Uh, Word has it there's some around, and so we're gonna go see. I'm gonna go up there Thursday morning. Hopefully get there around 2 o'clock. Do a little evening scouting. I might shoot a doe because doe season's up there right
Oh yeah,
now, and
nice.
so I might do that. I don't know yet about that. I'm mainly focused on birds. If I can get all my hunts lined out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then be done with it, then I'll go try and shoot a doe. But I think that's about it. I'm probably just gonna call it up there for this year and then just stick to thermal hunting down here, I guess.
Heck yeah,
Try to
man.
shoot some pigs and some coyotes. Be done with it.
Hell
Keep
yeah,
me
yeah.
busy doing something.
Right. So what's your favorite like thermal rig? What are you running for that?
Oh, well, right now I don't have anything crazy. I just have an AGM. It's on a 308 AR-10. It's just nothing crazy, but it gets the job done for
Heck
what I
yeah.
need it to.
Oh yeah, I've
But
heard good things about those AGMs. I don't have any thermals. I've always looked at everything and haven't really decided. I really want to get one of those knock picks, but I've heard good things about
hmm
AGM. I've heard good things about Pulsar. I've used Pulsars before
hmm
with some buddies and stuff, but I'm gonna try and
Yeah, my
get here.
buddy's got some pulsars. And then my other buddy's got an iRay. iRay's pretty nice. Like that's
Yeah,
probably one of the nicer ones I've looked through. That sucker's pretty slick, but I think for the best bang for your buck, and you can't beat an AGM Rattler just for I think they're not the quality as the rest of them are, but it still gets your job done. You're still looking through thermal at the end of the day.
yeah,
But some of those pulsars, the higher end pulsars, or your iRay and stuff, you could see the fur on a pig's ass.
yeah,
With the AGM, you're just like, all right, that's pig, let's shoot it. But no,
yeah.
those other ones,
It's not a
once
cow.
you
We
go
know that
spending
for
some
sure.
money, yeah, once you go spend some money on them, if you want to get dangerous into it and spend some money, yeah, you can go get you a higher end Pulsar or uh iRay or something like that. But no, I just have an AGM and we just go around the house like 30, 45 minutes around here and go shoot some stuff, whatever we can, coyotes, pigs, whatever it is.
Heck yeah, man.
But that's not too bad.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast tonight and recording. I won't keep you all night, but
No, you're good,
dude,
man.
I really enjoyed it, dude. You've got some great experience, and I think you're going to be even killing some more big deer in your future. Just by the way, you're ate up with it like a person needs to be able to do
Yes,
that.
sir.
So, man, I like I said, appreciate you coming on the podcast and appreciate everybody listening. Make sure you go follow Hunter. I'll put all his Instagram and everything on in the show notes. Y'all can check it out if you're on YouTube. It'll be in the description below. Make sure y'all go show him some love for being on the podcast. And once again, thanks y'all for listening, and we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Pleasure talking to you. It's nice to meet you.
Yes, sir.